Hello, thank you everyone for joining my webinar for the Remy Reports newsletter list, specifically on how to expand your digital footprint as a freelancer. And so this webinar is, if you're on here now, you probably are already a member of my newsletter list, but if you're not, for those who aren't aware, I'm a freelance writer. I'll go into a little bit more about me shortly afterwards. But you're welcome to join my newsletter list for freelance creatives, where I try to send out weekly tips on how to be a freelance creative and to support you on your journey as such. And so this webinar will be talking about how to expand your digital footprint as a freelancer. I'll start off by a little bit introduction about me. I'll then go on to speak a bit about social media and how you can use it as part of your digital marketing strategy. I'll then go into PR, which is public relations, and I'll also talk about a newsletter list and how that can help you in your online presence. And I'll also talk about the power of networking online and how this can help you as well. I'll then end it with an opportunity for you to ask some questions in the live chat. This is a pre recorded webinar, but I will be watching it live when it is premiering. So I'll be able to respond in the chat box with any questions you may have. Alternatively, you can always leave a comment on the video that will be available after the live webinar as well, and then I'll be sure to answer them as much as I can. And so let's begin by speaking a little about me. As I mentioned, you may already know that I am a freelancer. If you're a part of my newsletter list, I'm an author as well of the book Creativity with the Creator, including God in your creative process, which essentially is about considering God. I'm a Christian in all of your creative projects, whether that's in a Christian or mainstream um, environment. My freelance writing spans across journalism, copywriting, and content writing. And I have had published pieces in The Independent, Business Insider, and more. So let's go on to a little bit more about testimonials of people that I've worked with, both on my blog, which is a passion project, which is Romeo Reports, and the newsletter. So these are a few comments from people that I've worked with, whether it's newsletters or my blog. These are some comments that people have made from me. So this is just given a bit of a context behind who I am, what I've been doing. I've been doing it for 6 years now, and it's coming up to 7 years. But let's get started on how to expand your digital footprint as a freelancer. So I will preface this by saying this is probably going to be one of the shortest webinars I've done as part of this series. For those who don't know, I started doing these webinars at the beginning of this year, once a month for my newsletter list. And I've been encouraged by the feedback so far. Typically, they've been half an hour to 45 minutes. But this one will probably be the shortest one that I've done in this series so far. But I hope nonetheless that it still offers value. And again, if there's any comments that you have during the webinar or afterwards, please feel free to put it in the live chat, or as you see fit, you can put it at the permanent comment section, which will be available once the this premiere is finished, and I'll do my best to answer. So let's start off with social media. So we know social media is often like the go-to that people say in terms of being a way for people to um, expand their digital presence. When people think of marketing online, social media is often the go-to way, and rightly so, because we are in an age where social media is like social first content is often the way forward, and it's and for many reasons, because it's organic content can be reached much further. You don't always have to pay for ads. Previously, you don't have to go to billboards, you don't have to go to TV advertisements in order to trust that your message will get sent. You have the power within your own hands to do it, post online for free, build up a following, and so forth. And so, rightly so, social media should be one of the top things that you think of when you are thinking about expanding your digital media presence. And so, I'm just going to zoom in on this presentation on three particular platforms that I think are worth you doing it as a freelancer. So, the first is TikTok. We know that video content is one of the most engaging ways that uh, people are consuming content. TikTok is a video predominant platform. There is an opportunity to do photos on there now, such as slider photo posts, but we do know that predominantly it's known for its video content. And so, what I like about TikTok is that it is very creative. There's different ways that people are able to create videos. It doesn't just have to be a typical template that everyone follows. I like the fact that you can do trends on TikTok, whether it's TikTok dances, TikTok music. PO videos are something that I'm seeing more now. So that stands for point of view videos. So that can be something, for example, if you are a photographer, you could do a POV video that says a day in the life of a videographer, where you take your audience around, like almost like a behind the scenes exclusive type of content that kind of makes the viewer feel like they're with you on the process. And so that's one format that you can use to create a TikTok video. And I also, it's very similar to vlogging actually, that POV video style. But you can do POV videos are usually a shorter snippet of it, whereas vlogging might be a bit more of a longer type of view, similar to YouTube. Longer videos on TikTok as well are something people are doing more so now, if they're doing a taking you through their thought process and so forth. And so these are ways to those, I think vlogging and POV videos in particular are two methods that I think are a great way for you to really feel like you are engaging with your audience, and your audience feel like they're getting to know you a little bit more behind the scenes, like you're taking them on a journey with you. The good thing about TikTok as well is that it has a TikTok shop item, has a TikTok shop, uh, what do I want to say, option where there's lots of little gadgets that can help assist you in your content creation journey as well. So I'm seeing little gadgets that have been made to that you can stick on a wall, for example. So it makes it actually easy for you to film, and also it positions your camera, your phone, in a way that it feels like the viewer is looking directly at what you're doing. So, for example, something like a tripod would do, but an easier version of a tripod to so that it makes the content look a bit more like immediate and like the person's right there with you. So these type of little tools that can help increase the intimacy so much between so to speak, between your audience and yourself, those type of things are really going to help you to build your online brand, because it reduces the distance between your audience and yourself, and therefore creates it more personable, which does well, especially on an organic platform such as TikTok. It's not as hard for organic content or small users with less following to get more known on TikTok. It's much easier than Instagram, for example. And as I touched on briefly earlier, there are also slider photo posts that you can do on TikTok as well. And that can you can also add music alongside it, so that as people are sliding through the story that you're telling on your slider post, they're aided by audible sound or music to help with the engaging experience. So that's one way to use social media to expand your digital content online. And we're also going to move on to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is previously been seen as a quite corporate platform. However, it is increasingly, since Gen Z, I would say, have been on the platform, it's becoming increasingly creative and less rigid and in the way that it has previously been. And so there's a few ways that this has happened through videos. So it's actually got a feature on there now that is similar to a TikTok feed of you just being able to scroll and seeing people's videos on LinkedIn, which I would definitely recommend trying to take advantage of. And there's also the traditional posts that are still popular right now. So traditional text-based posts that are similar to articles, but not quite. They do have articles on there as well, which you can do, which can help you to establish yourself as a thought leader, or you can comment on questions that other people have posted, and that again helps with your positioning yourself as a thought leader. And connections are a great way to on LinkedIn. Building connections are great for using the search bar. You can type in keywords for people in your industry or clients that you have interest in becoming a client eventually, and nurture relationships through speaking to them on the DM. When you reach out to them, LinkedIn Premium has an option where you can include a message to them when you send a connection request to them. Include something that makes you stand out to them, so it doesn't seem like you're just another general request. Maybe comment on something that they've done recently that you like, and helps them to think of you a little bit more. And so, yes, and another way I like LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is great for positioning yourself as an expert and a professional, because people can go on there and see your work history, and therefore it adds more credibility. Whereas I think on Instagram it's a bit more vague, or even on TikTok, and it can be a bit more vague to see what type of experience the person has previously. Whereas LinkedIn actually has designated sections where you list your employer, you list whether you've had experience in the field that you are claiming to be an expert in. And so I think it filters out for potential clients. You put in your work experience there, it helps with credibility essentially. There's also an option for people you've worked with previously to comment, leave a, I think, I'm not sure, endorsement. So basically reviews of their experience working with you, which again helps with credibility. So it definitely helps to position yourself as a professional, and you can also rest assured that you're reaching out to people who should be professional as well, because you can see that they have work experience in the field that you're trying to connect with them in. So, yeah, I think it's great for professionals, and filtering out what sometimes can be a bit harder to decipher on other platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. So, when you are creating all of these types of content on LinkedIn, I would recommend that you talk about timely topics. These things can help you to stay current, and also is an opportunity for other people who may not usually see your posts, to come across them and comment and share, because it's talking about a timely topic that is quite relevant, and they can relate to as well, or having a shared opinion on. Also, as well as creating content, it's important for you to comment, like, and engage with other people's pages on social uh, media. And you should also, as I mentioned before, try and look at expert articles where you can comment and share your opinion on a piece that has been posted before. There's also carousel posts. I think that's how you say it. Carousel posts on LinkedIn, which I think is great if you're doing a topic on, for example, 4 ways to become a photographer. You can create a PDF file using something like Canva, and create a visually engaging yet informative post on that. And then people can just click, kind of like a slider post, like I mentioned on TikTok. And it's something that's visually appealing, but also informative, for them to save and want to come back to later if it's of use to them. And then finally, what we're going to be talking about is Instagram on social media. Reels, again, video content, visual, video first content is quite engaging. And so, using Reels, we know that Instagram has traditionally mainly been a photo platform, but it has incorporated videos much more now. And so, similar to TikTok, you can create videos that are engaging with trends, like I've mentioned previously, and POV content as well. The video content that you post on TikTok can also be transferred to uh, Instagram as well. You can also use live stream, and I haven't mentioned that for TikTok as well. TikTok previously did 1,000, I think it was, you had to have a certain amount of followers, which was quite high in order to go live, but you're able now to go live at 50 followers. I did just try that myself this weekend. So that's good news for smaller creators and those who have less of a following. You can still go live. And Instagram also has a live feature. The difference between TikTok and Instagram Live, I've noticed, is that Instagram, when you go live, it's usually just your own followers who will see that you're going live, whereas TikTok, unless there's a feature that I may not know about, which could well be the case. I don't go on Instagram Live that often, but I've noticed when I've gone on it, it has been mainly for people who are following you. Whereas TikTok, it kind of, the way that it's set up is that people who aren't following you can easily come across your content, you going live as well. So there's just that bit of a balance there to take into consideration. But all of these things are good ways for you to expand your reach and get your content out there for others to recognize. In terms of the photo element of Instagram, which again is the primary way or the way that it's first started out, you can create a post of tips using graphic content and create a post that has several slides for people to take note of. And these type of slider posts in particular are very useful because people can save them and come back to them if they're engaging enough. So try and think about the visual aspect of it as well, but also making sure that it's something that someone wants to not just like, but save for them to come back to later, and kind of try and encourage that in the caption as well. Encourage people to save, remind them that that's a button that they can use. And so now let's go into the public relations strategy. So, as I mentioned, I am a freelance journalist as part of my freelance writing. And so, pitching to journalists is something that I don't think is spoken about enough in terms of marketing, especially for freelancers. I don't see it spoken as much as perhaps social media and creating your own online brand is. And so I'm going to go into a bit deeper here, what I've learned from being a journalist, and also at one point I had my own hair brand, and so was able to make use of my knowledge of journalism, pitching to journalists, and to help promote that. And I've also done some PR strategy with clients as well. And so, if you want to pitch to journalists to get in publications that you have in mind that are related to where your audience read, whether it's the Independent, whether it's a beauty magazine, an online magazine, we know that print is not as predominant as it was in previous decades, but definitely there are still well respected publications online who are open to pitches. And so, I think one of the ways that you can do this is making sure that you are following journalists online on social media platforms such as X and Threads. This is where journalists tend to post call outs for opportunities where you can be featured. I'm going to go into that a bit later, but those are the two platforms that a lot of journalists are on, actively searching and also posting. We know that X is kind of lost its popularity a little bit in likability. But Threads is very similar to it. There's also Blue Sky that people are have been talking about as well. Though, but those that type of Twitter type of format, social media platform, those three are worth checking out and following journalists. So, how do you find a journalist that you're interested in? You can use a search bar to type in the name of the publication you're interested in, then maybe look at the follower list of that publication and see if the person works at that said publication. There's also a user option on X where you can see, if you just type the handle of the publication, people have that tagged in their bio if they've worked there or if they work there. And that can be another way for you to reach out to clients, reach out to journalists. And you can also sign up to PR agencies. There are some platforms out there that will actually send you opportunities to get featured directly to your inbox. So that's another way that you can kind of stay upon it instead of, if you don't want to manually be searching for opportunities, that might be a more automatic way for you to be informed of it. uh, you can also, and you should also, this is another manual way of doing it, create a press release about who you are. And particularly, this is useful because we are freelancers and we don't necessarily have an actual product, so it's a service. This is particularly useful if you can craft your press release around a timely topic or a timely specific advice. If you're an expert in a particular area, and something in the government has happened, craft your press release around that particular topic and then send it out to journalists on a timely manner. Another way you can search for journalists is via Google or LinkedIn. Um, and you can also, another way to be featured in a magazine or publication is to look out for call outs that journalists put out. So it may not be necessarily in your actual expert field. For example, let's say you are a graphic designer, the journalist may have not put a call out saying that they're looking for graphic designers. It may be something just generally that's related to personal life or lifestyle, but you have an opinion on it. You could still be featured in that publication and just ask them to credit you as a graphic designer. That's still a way of building your online presence. Not many people think about those nuanced ways of you to get featured. It's not always about looking for graphic designers. There's other ways for your name to still be out there and them crediting you as a graphic designer. And then someone could come across that article just by chance and see that you're a graphic designer, and that helps with your SEO on Google. But just be careful if you are going to take that route that's not directly related to your work. Just be careful about the personal views that you are sharing, and that it's not something that can discredit or negatively affect your career. Because again, the main reason why you'd be doing that is to help your SEO. And so now let's go into a newsletter list. So newsletter lists are a great way for you to build a more loyal and close-knit community compared to social media, which is a bit more open, and all sorts of people can follow you on social media. But those who are more committed to your voice and what value you offer are more likely to subscribe to your newsletter list. And so through doing regular newsletter lists, people get familiar with you and can you increase your chances of being top of mind to them. If something comes up that they are working on as a freelancer or as a business owner and are thinking of someone to work with, because they've seen your consistency in your newsletter that you're sending out and adding value to them through the newsletter you're giving, they're more likely to think of you to recommend. Uh, and so that's the benefit of doing a newsletter list. If you want to incentives to grow your newsletter lists can be by offering in certain things such as like a free ebook downloadable or different freebies that you know that will be particularly useful to the person that you are reaching out to, you are trying to gain as a newsletter subscriber. And so let's go on to networking now. So, networking is a great way to also increase your online ability. There's different ways that you can do this online. There's so many ways for you to network online in this day and age. Since COVID, this has really increased. And so you can do this through joining a LinkedIn Live, for example, and just networking with people in the comments who attend the live as well, or who attend the live in the comments, or who are presenting in the live. You can then follow their accounts and then follow up with them afterwards via DM. Ask questions so that your name pops out when they are live and they think of you, and then they invite you to the next thing. And if you're consistent with attending lives, people will think of you more. Uh, and then yes, you can do that with LinkedIn Live, and you can also do it with uh, other actual events that may be through a webinar, for example. You can attend a webinar that may be via Zoom, and so therefore is more that your cameras are on and you're able to interact a little bit more with people. These are the ways that you can do it. And yeah, so this is another example of how you can network. Try to engage and ask questions. I'm an introvert, so I know that I do have to, when it comes to networking, I have to kind of often step outside of my natural tendency to be a bit more quiet and ask more questions in order to engage and to really get out the best of what you do. You have to advocate for yourself. You can't really expect other people to do that for you, especially as a self-employed person. And so, yeah, try to ask questions, take an interest in what other people may do, even if it doesn't immediately look for a way that you can collaborate. There's a way that you can build just a relationship and see what goes from there. They might recommend you to someone else. Uh, yeah, so there's different ways that networking can help you online. Joining groups online, such as Facebook groups, is another great way for you to increase your credibility online. Engaging regularly in these groups through comments and other means by posting as well in the group can again be a great way for you to share what you're doing and also build relationships. So we'll just go summary over the three things that I think are main for you to take away. As I said, social media is often the go-to, but pitching to journalists, newsletter lists, and networking, I believe, are ones that are maybe not spoken about as much and are a great way for you to expand your digital footprint as a freelancer. So I'd like to thank you for joining this live. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, please do put them in the live chat or leave them in the comment section, the permanent comment section of this YouTube video, and I will do my best to reply. And I want to thank you again for watching. Please do give feedback on these webinars. I am still I think this is my fourth one so far, so I'm still very much new to this. I really want to know if this is adding value to those who are watching so that I can do better. And the whole point of this is to add value. So please do give feedback in the comments. Even if you don't have any questions, please do give feedback on what you thought of it. For those who aren't aware, I do have a blog for freelance creatives, which is www.remyreports.com, or you can follow me on Remy Reports at Instagram, or connect with me on LinkedIn with my government name, which is Maxine Harrison. Thank you again, and I hope you have a blessed evening.